Hello, I'm Void, and welcome back to another reaction. I am tentatively back from my hiatus. Um, Today I'm going to be reacting to Magneto versus Tetsuo, the death battle. I know I'm a little behind on the death battles. I plan on catching up soon, if all goes to plan. Um, any credits that we need to get through? Wiz and Boomstick for the death battle theme. Ego Death for the battle music. And Theirwolf Media on YouTube. Check them out. Let's jump right into this. This is Magneto versus Tetsuo. I'm leaning towards Magneto.
This episode of Death Battle is sponsored by HelloFresh and Bespoke Post.
What's the resolution at? 360. Not a chance.
Magneto, Marvel's mutant master of magnetism.
Tetsuo Shima, Akira's telekinetic terror of Neo-Tokyo.
These two maestros of kinesis have ignited revolution not just in their worlds, but also the very mediums they exist within.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win
I've never seen
death battle.
Akira. I really
In
should.
the short duration of modern civilization, likely no conflict tested humanity more than the Second World War. In the primary Marvel 616 universe, this fact is no different, especially to the Eisenhart family and their only son.
You may know him as Magnus, Eric, or Max, but if you ask him, he'd say his true name is Magneto.
As a Jewish child in Nazi Germany, Magneto's early life was, extremely traumatic.
Even after eventually escaping certain death with his future wife, misfortune always followed wherever he went.
Thanks to his unexpected mutation called the X gene, the mark of a superhuman. After settling down in Russia with his new family, the KGB quickly found out about this quirk, so they burned his house down with his own daughter inside.
Naturally, he snapped and killed them all. I don't blame him, I'd do that too. Too bad his wife didn't get it and ditched him though. But that's when Magneto made a choice. Since humans hurt him his entire life, he'd do the same to them in the name of mutants everywhere.
At first, Magneto turned to the telepathic powerhouse Charles Xavier and his fledgling team of heroes. But his new friend wasn't thrilled with the idea of, subjugating the human race. So, Magneto formed his own team of mutants, the Brotherhood.
Magneto can telekinetically move, bend, and reshape any metal he's aware of. Bullets, vehicles, buildings, you name it. Even himself when he manipulates his personal magnetic field for flight and energy barriers.
Magnetic kinesis is far more versatile than it would appear at first glance. The blood in your body has iron in it.
Magneto typically keeps his barriers in place at all times during combat, even while using his powers for other things. All right.
The air has traces of lead and mercury. Whole mountains are lined with metallic ore. The Earth itself is surrounded by a literal magnetic field.
So many toys for Maggie to play with. He can detect magnetic fields at such a huge range, he can even pinpoint Earth's magnetic rays while stranded on a planet in another galaxy. And guess what?
Wow.
What? He was able to use those rays to pull himself back to Earth in a single day.
His range is even more remarkable than that. Did you know that in 1820, physicist Hans Christian Ørsted discovered that electric currents, like those of electrons and protons and atoms, produce their own magnetic fields? Magneto can fine-tune his control to affect these very subatomic particles. Dummy here will illustrate such a particle, with positively charged protons and negative electrons.
My life is as meaningless as an atom is small.
So what you're saying is Magneto could, yank one of those out?
Correct, potentially changing an atom's entire chemical makeup. However, neutrons do not have a charge, and without the ability to adjust those to accommodate the change in atomic mass, the atom would become unstable and...
Finally!
do that. Magneto's violent protest against humankind clashed with Xavier's peaceful reconciliation, not unlike the ideologies taught by Malcolm X and Dr. King, by whom Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were inspired. Magneto would spend most of his career pushing Xavier away to prove his philosophies superior, which meant doing battle with Xavier's school of thought, quite literally.
And Baldy's mind powers are no joke, but thanks to Magneto's psionic repelling helmet.
Though his helmet is his most effective tool for shutting out psionic attacks, Xavier and other powerful telepaths have even struggled to affect his mind when he is not wearing.
Professor X couldn't touch him. Magneto survived Cyclops' earth-splitting lasers.
All right, here we go. Pulled the Breakworld bullet at near light speed, flew between galaxies in a short time frame, punched Iron Man with the force of a sun, overpowered Hercules and Thor's hammer, ripped apart Wolverine's adamantium skeleton, survived a miniaturized neutron star bullet, resisted mental attacks from Professor X and Emma Frost, and defeated X-Men, Avengers, Red Skull, and
Absorbed the power of the sun to battle Iron Man, ripped the adamantium skeleton out of Wolverine's body, and even taken on Hercules himself. You know, the Greek legend, Zero to Hero, the guy who held up the skies of Olympus for Atlas? That Hercules.
Seems sensible. Magneto once used the Earth's magnetic field to overwhelm the Phoenix Force, which can effortlessly destroy planets.
While the Phoenix's full power is far greater than just planet level, she had been weakened prior to Magneto defeating her, and is beyond him at her full strength.
Let alone far
That
more.
makes sense.
Hell, if he really wanted to, Magneto could totally just fling the Earth off its axis.
It's entirely possible he may have eventually resorted to just that. Over time, it became clear Magneto's war was doing far more harm than good for his fellow mutants, however well-intentioned he may have been at first.
Luckily, he later realized he was going a bit overboard and began reevaluating his perspective. Good for you, Mags. It's really tough to recognize when you're the baddie.
It took time and patience not just from Magneto, but also from his peers. Yet eventually, his path was completely changed. He even became a leader for Xavier's X-Men.
But don't let his new goody two-shoes ways fool you. Whenever there's a threat to mutants, you can bet Magneto will be there to annihilate it. Forever, by any means necessary.
This episode of Death Battle is sponsored by HelloFresh.
With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal
Let's go ahead and
dinner
skip this.
recipes.
Step by step,
2%
do all their comms. Over 30 years ago, a new type
right.
of bomb was set off over Tokyo, and 9 hours later began the Third World War.
Welcome to 2030, or 2019 if you're watching the anime. The buildings are taller, the
Wait,
motorcycles are cooler. Or 2019 if you're watching the anime.
Oh,
the buildings
okay.
are taller, the motorcycles are cooler, and the future is brighter. Oh, wait, not really. If you find yourself in the Capsule Gang, you'll meet Shotaro Kaneda, who's like your textbook anime Chad. Gets the ladies, beats the baddies, and cops the sweetest rigs. Man, I need to get me one of those.
And then there's the little brother of the group, Kaneda's best friend, Tetsuo Shima. He's, well...
The exact opposite.
Oh, okay.
A total wimp. As a kid, Tetsuo in his college thesis forehead got bullied for being the new kid at the orphanage.
Age 19, height 5'4", weight 103, Esper, number 41, ex-Capsule Gang member, ex-Clown Gang leader, dictator of the illustrious Great Tokyo
That's
Empire.
until Big Bro Kaneda came to the rescue.
Eventually, the two went to vocational school together and formed the Capsules. But Tetsuo was never satisfied with Kaneda being the leader of the pack. Tetsuo desired more than anything to be top dog.
Oh, I can just see that monkey's paw curling in my mind. Or that kid walking down the street. Shit, Tetsuo, watch out, you're gonna... That
Oh.
definitely should have killed him. But since it didn't, Tetsuo earned himself a ticket to military confinement. Turns out they had an under-the-table program for developing child superweapons.
In the same program that backfired and jump-started the war, Tetsuo became Japan's Esper number 41.
He may not have been a natural with bikes, baddies, or babes, but this telekinesis stuff hit different. He walked out of that hospital ward effortlessly flying, reading minds, and blending people into strawberry jelly. Tetsuo got what he wanted. Power, along with the hunger for more of it.
A hunger that used to only be satiated with drugs. And not just any
Damn.
gateway drug, pills so potent that a single gram of the stuff could kill you.
So, pretty bad. Kinda reminds me of college days, huh, Snow Wizard?
Tetsuo's main ability is his constantly increasing
Snow
psionic
Wizard.
energy, growing more and more powerful over time. This is due to Tetsuo's link
Took
to,
a second
quote,
for that to
the
hit.
memories of the universe, end quote. It's weird.
Either way, Tetsuo leveled up from lame
Here we go. Espers take advantage of the flow of universal energy created by the Big Bang. Its destructive nature is in part due to promoting humanity's evolution.
Gangbuster to certified badass. This guy is a walking natural disaster. His telekinesis can shake the planet, easily cause earthquakes over a dozen miles below the surface. He can summon psychic barriers for defense and crush foes with friggin' gravity wells. He can dart around as a literal bolt of lightning or even teleport in an instant.
Tetsuo's telekinesis can be so precise he can target and obliterate specific parts of the body. He can heal severe wounds quickly, but even after losing a whole limb, he can craft a new one using whatever nearby materials he wants.
With these powers, Top Dog Kaneda didn't matter anymore. Who needed his approval? Tetsuo tasted that good shit and he was hooked. And when he found out another Esper named Akira could deal him even more power, he rampaged through Tokyo to find him.
And this is where versions of the story differ.
Spoilers ahoy!
You may be familiar with the 1988 animation, where Akira had been dissected for research. However, in the original manga, Akira is not only alive, but even more powerful.
Once that little runt nuked Tokyo, Tetsuo would erect the Great Tokyo Empire with Akira and himself as its leaders. But he ended up just abusing the position for endless sex and inflating his ego.
With Kaneda's rebellion at his front door, Tetsuo took a turn for the worse. He had to fight.
Tetsuo's defeated other powerful espers, dodged light-speed lasers, and jumped.
Here we go. Caused an 8.5 magnitude, or 8.5. Obliterated an SOL satellite, cratered the moon, can destroy Earth 100 times over, dodged light-speed lasers, leaped to the moon faster than sight, survived multiple nuclear laser blasts, and defeated K, Lady Miyako, and the U.S. Navy fleet.
To the moon faster than anyone could blink,
not
and
bad.
then punched a big old hole in it. And if you ask, Boomerstick, wouldn't that mess up gravity on Earth? You would be right, because it totally did. Screwed the planet, I guess. Stupid moon.
Which brings us to Tetsuo's.
Given the small crater Tetsuo left on the ground, he did not teleport to the moon. He must have traveled there in about 13 milliseconds.
Folly. His abuse of his powers spiraled until he lost control. Unfortunately for Kaneda's rebellion, this did not make Tetsuo an easier enemy to confront. Exactly opposite, in fact, has Tetsuo painfully mutated into an unstoppable behemoth.
Yep, that's not totally disturbing at all.
I'm happy to say the manga's version is even more disturbing.
I mean, I know babies can be monsters, but that's a whole nother level.
It is pain incarnate. I can relate. Another Esper described Tetsuo's struggle as ego death, which has multiple definitions, but in this case is likely symbolic of the version attributed to drug use.
Yeah, it's described as a shedding of one's own identity, like how LSD can emulate a wild out-of-body experience, and you come back with a new perspective. Though this is maybe a little more extreme. In fact, you could say Tetsuo was shedding his human body to play with the powers of a god.
I wish I could shed out of my body. But in this case, Tetsuo going full out-of-body meant becoming a mound of raw, ever-expanding energy.
Which almost nuked Tokyo all over again. And those explosions are not normal. I would know.
Top scientists in both the manga and animated versions describe these explosions as births of a new universe.
Given its properties of nuclear fusion and proton collapse, Tetsuo's mutated form was likely creating a Big Bang.
You know, the thing that started our whole universe?
Right, in the manga, it instead ended the Espers and their abilities once and for all. A testament that humankind is unsuited to wield the powers of the divine.
Though the anime is even more trippy. Thanks to Akira and his buddies, Tetsuo got so high on ego death, he ascended time-space to become god of a new universe. Kind of
Tetsuo obtaining omniscience is not canon to the original manga and cannot be applied to an arbitrary level of
worth it, right?
And yet, Kaneda kept his empire up in his honor, now as the Great Akira Empire. Ironically, in death, Tetsuo finally received the attention he so desperately craved.
Wow.
This episode of Death Battle is sponsored by Bespoke Post.
Bespoke Post. All right.
Get death
so-
battle. All right, the combatants are.
Magneto's gonna win early, I think. The question is, can he take on final form Tetsuo? And I'm really just not sure. I'm eager to find out, though. my final vote is gonna be for. I'm gonna switch and say Tetsuo wins by dying by creating a new Big Bang.
Are set. We've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for.
Although, now that I think about it, I'm reversing on that. I'm gonna say Magneto wins because all of Tetsuo's other feats were, I believe, less than Magneto's.
Death battle!
Even in Japan, they fail to recognize our superiority.
Wrong country, Grandpa! You're in Akira turf now!
Alright.
You're dead meat!
Impudent child!
The hell are you calling child? I make the rules around here!
You're wasting my time.
Tetsuo's kinesis stronger than
Parlor tricks
Magneto's?
for the master of magnetism.
I'll kill you! Your history, scumbag!
This is not looking good. Not looking good for Magneto at all. What the hell?
I believe I've had enough tantrums to last a lifetime.
Yeah, here we go. Final form Tetsuo.
Listen, welcome. I'll handle this on my own. Die! Hurts. Help me.
Here we go. God damn. There we go.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
So what the fuck happened? What happened?
I'm never doing that again.
Tetsuo's esoteric telekinesis and other.
Yeah, stronger, faster, and tougher. Magnekinesis countered Tetsuo's offense. Magnetic senses countered Tetsuo's mobility. Inferior healing options. Tetsuo could eventually grow more powerful. Could kill Magneto without his shield. Telekinesis had a broader range of effect, though his application was less versatile. Overexertion risked bodily harm and far less combat and tactical physical experience.
Bizarre abilities certainly gave Magneto pause, but the Master of Magnetism had greater control over his foe.
The numbers don't lie. Tetsuo cratering the moon was insane, but Magneto punched Iron Man with the force of the sun. And while Tetsuo jumped all the way to the moon, Magneto could move across galaxies.
Against Tetsuo in his human form, Magneto obviously held a
Without his barriers, Tetsuo was easily powerful enough to kill Magneto. However, those barriers can withstand attacks from Thor and Hercules, who are far stronger.
sizable advantage in power and speed.
Okay.
But stats aren't
So
all
what-
that matters. With his precise telekinesis, Tetsuo could just target Magneto's organs. GG, right?
Yes, but Magneto had similar skills. There are very few substances on Earth that lack any metallic or magnetic component, and Magneto is very creative with his powers.
Hang on. What did that say? Bullets aimed at his heart found their way back to the triggermen. The iron in our blood was used to cause seizures. and
Creative
strokes.
with his powers.
Wow.
Which he could use to predict Tetsuo's teleportation and even shut down his telekinesis. And his scraps with Xavier prove he could handle Tetsuo's messing with his head.
Given that Tetsuo was put out of commission after attempting to read Akira's mind, it's likely that with Magneto's greater array of abilities, the same would happen.
The biggest challenge for Magneto was when Tetsuo's gross mutated power came into play.
Especially given how the detonations from this form were compared to that of a Big Bang. Although
Right.
the authenticity of that observation is questionable. In truth, the Big Bang was a sudden expansion of matter on a universal scale, whereas Tetsuo's explosions are more akin to nuclear blasts, clearly intentional given the post-war symbolism of the Akira story.
The whole creating an alternate universe bit wasn't even part of the original material, so we can't exactly call it canon.
But let's just say the comparison wasn't superfluous. Let's say Tetsuo did in fact cause a Big Bang capable of creating or destroying an entire universe, alternate or otherwise.
Turns out Magneto had the tools to stop that too. Helmet Head could overpower Hercules, who was strong enough to hold up the skies of Olympus, which is literally heaven and an alternate universe.
This doesn't necessarily mean Magneto could easily destroy a universe with a snap of his fingers, but it does prove he can match a similar level of power. And
Okay.
context is everything. Tetsuo's Big Bang eruption specifically exhibited proton collapse, meaning its atomic structure was primarily an unstable mess of neutrons and electrons. And Magneto has detected and commanded unstable electrons before. This means Magneto had every means available to take control over
Alright,
this
okay.
Big Bang.
Damn, and I thought he could just move some metal around. It's like the question posed by some of the greatest prophets of our time. Fucking magnets. How do they even work?
Magneto's astonishing power and intelligent control over all things
Wow, this one
magnetism
was a good
triumphed
one.
in the end.
Tetsuo pushed his luck, but didn't have the metal to pull off the win.
The winner is Magneto.
And who's
Thank you
next?
for watching this episode. If you'd like
I
to
know the
directly
videos
support
are
the
available.
whole Death Battle team,
I
click
wanna
that
see
join
who's
button
next.
and consider becoming a member. We'd really appreciate it.
This one was
Hope you like the
really
next
good.
one.
Next time. Oh, okay. Yeah, right. It's the Hercules versus Sun Wukong. Wow. All right. That was Magneto versus Tetsuo. I think I've said all I wanted to say, so thank you for joining me on this journey. If you did enjoy, I would greatly appreciate a like, a comment, and or a subscription. I hope to see you next time. I hope you have a nice day, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye.